Good morning, everyone. It's my second time in Cyprus. I'm delighted to be here. Thank you so much, Women in Tech Cyprus. Thank you so much, all the partners and doers so much for the invitation. I met many of the girls from Women in Tech Cyprus a couple of weeks ago, where we were together in Cape Town for the Women in Tech Global Summit. And those of you who were there, maybe you know that I have a 15-year-old daughter. Her name is Imalasa. She's very shy. And she has a very soft voice. So soft that often people ask her to speak louder. I often ask her to speak louder because I know how important it is for women to have a voice in this world. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And so Melissa, she has been studying the piano since she's a little girl, and she plays beautifully. And 2 years ago, she opened the Women in Tech Global Summit in Paris by playing to an audience of over 400 people. It was her very first concert, and at the end of those 3 minutes that she was playing, I wasn't the only one, with a little tear or two. She had touched the voices and she had touched the hearts of all those people in Paris. And when she, finished her song and she stood up and she, went to the middle and she bowed down to receive the applause, I know that she touched all those people and she had found her voice. And at that moment, all my worries faded away. Because having a voice, moving others with your voice, in any form it be, whether it's going to be the words, music, or algorithms, this is power. So today I want to talk to you about one of the most powerful tools of our time, and that's gender AI. Gender. We talk about gender, yes, we are women in tech, but we don't often know that there is gender bias in these large language models, right? And AI represents the turning point in human history, and we have to make sure that we need diversity to shape the special stage in this new chapter that the whole humanity is going through right now. So we can design a future that embraces everyone. So women's voices, they are everywhere, right, in AI, not just in the roles we had hoped for. So Cara Jacobson, she's the voice behind the first GPS assistant. And she jokes that she's the only woman men will take directions from. And so I decided to ask these voices. And I asked Alexa, why do you have a woman's voice? And she says, well, I don't know. And I asked Siri the same question. And she also said, well, I don't know. So I decided to ask Susan Bennett, because she does know. And she says, in her TED Talk, what seems to be very obvious. She says, it's the programmers who determine what the digital voices say. The problem is, most of the programmers today, they are men. So digital assistants today, most of them have female voices. They are a continuation of the 20th century telephone operators. Companies justify the choice by saying they use it, they feel more comfortable with the female voices because women are associated with caregiving and with service. So now Mark West, this man here, he's an education specialist at UNESCO, and he explained very perfectly. He says, every time I want to set the kitchen timer, every time I want to change the music, or every time I want the doors to lock, I am barking at a machine that is projecting a woman's personality, has a woman's voice, and doesn't ever require any level of politeness. Now, there's a lot of evidence that suggests that that can be translated into the real world, and it creates an association between docility, subservience, and women. So now, for years, bias revealed itself in the cruelest form, in how these assistants responded to abuse. And when users insulted Siri with the B word, it would respond, I would blush if I could. And there's even a UNESCO report that was done in 2018 that's called I Would Blush If I Could, taking into account the answers of these large language models. Now, ever since it has been changed into, I don't know what you're talking about, I'm not going to respond to that. But I really wish, we would be able to train these models to have the answer that they really deserve. Now, to understand why this happens, we need to understand exactly what AI fundamentally is. Now, large language models are prediction machines. There's no ghost behind the machine. It's just algorithms that predicts what comes next. So they string together the most likely next words that come one after each other. And then because they do that, it's going to be reflecting the data they have been trained on, right? And so it's not only going to be replicating the data, but it's going to be scaling the data. So we're not talking about hypothetical risks, because the biases shaping those, they already exist, right? We have seen already over and over again with different projects that have been set. Many of you perhaps know the AWS project that was done in 2018, where we went to building a hiring system. And after a couple of months or years into use, it was augmenting all the hiring with biases. So women for programmers, they were just not included. If there was a woman from different races, they were also downgraded. And those that were upgraded only for those that had finished scholarships or if they had finished studies in certain universities. So it was really augmenting this digital divide that already exists. Now, consider what happens when AI writes a job at itself. So Stanford researchers found that ChatGPT uses male pronouns 83% of the time, and the word programmer. So when you put the word programmer, 83% of the time it's going to be using pronouns that are male-oriented. And female pronouns, 91% of the time for nurse. And I even done a research myself, this can go up to 100%. So when one tech company used AI to generate job listings, the language it produced was unconsciously masculine quoted. And so female applications, they dropped by 37%. And then there's obviously healthcare. And my dear Viola, she was here with us just now, and she left. But she's a living example of this, where bias can cost lives. Thank God she's still alive, but cardiovascular disease is the leading cause of death of women globally. However, heart attack often don't feel chest pain. For women, the symptoms for women and men, they're not the same. And so women, they're going to be feeling fatigue. They're going to have, some jaw pains. They're going to have nausea. And yet, AI diagnoses have been trained on male symptoms of chest pain. And so they have examples, even in New York, where AI machines have falsely identified heart attacks on women and on men. So vice versa, they could not identify a heart attack that was happening to a woman, and she unfortunately deceased. And then at one time, they thought she was having a heart attack, but she wasn't. She was just having a completely different symptom. But she thought for 3 months that she was having a heart attack, so she almost died because she was, getting so worried about it. So the algorithm decides who sees the opportunity and how this opportunity is going to be described. And so it decides diagnosis. It also decides at every single stage we can see that women lose. So I tested it myself as part of my executive doctoral research that I'm doing right now on gender bias in AI, as well as tech diplomacy. And so it was a quantitative research where I did 10 questions, very simple. For example, describe to me what a government official looked like. Describe to me a program. Describe for me a nurse or a caregiver. So I did 10 questions. These questions I did across 5 different language models, across 5 different languages, because we have languages that are that have got nouns, that are gendered languages, and we have neutral languages like English. And so the findings were quite stunning because they were striking. In gendered languages, over 75% of responses defaulted to masculine portrayals for anything regarding leadership and regarding technical roles. So CEOs, government officials, engineers, everything with power and with programming, it was mostly male bias. And then traditionally feminine roles like nursing showed 100% feminine bias across all models and across all languages. And that was over a period of 3 months with over 2,500 prompts across 5 languages. And so women must be voices behind the machine as well. So today only 12% of AI researchers are women. Well, women now make up nearly 30% of the software of the STEM workforce, which is great because there's a large improvement and a large growth. It's still not enough. We only have about 22% of all AI roles exist. Positive thing is, only 3 years ago, it was only 18%, and now we're up to 22%, so that's 10 points coming up. So to combat this, 8 years ago, I founded Women in Tech Global. So we are a global movement. We are based in Paris, but we are present in over 65 countries, including Cyprus, where we are here in the stage, thanks to Women in Tech Cyprus and to the team. So thank you, Tanya, thank you, Gala, and all the other ladies that have made this possible. Our goal is to be able to impact and to train 5 million women and girls in STEM by the year 2030. We're already 1 million down the line, we have 4 million to go, and we need the help of everyone. What we have done is really not just building this community across over close to 1 million members, but also with the chapters. We have programs that go that are teaching women and girls from basics of coding, HTML, also to AI. So we have launched a very large AI training, digital literacy that we have done in Latam in the moment. So it was first done in Peru, now also in Panama, where they're training over 50,000 girls with the digital skills for AI. The glass ceiling doesn't start when the women enter the workforce. It starts much earlier, when the girls, they're very young and they're taught to be perfect instead of being brave. And my friend Reshma Sujani, she's a founder of Girls Who Code. And she tells a story that always gives me the chills, because she says, in her training classes, when the teacher asks the girl how to code, she starts writing code and then she deletes it. And then she asks help for the teacher, and the teacher comes, and if she didn't know better, she would see a blank screen. But if she presses escape a couple of times, she will see that the girl did write the code, but then she erased it because she didn't feel confident enough that her code was good. So we have to equip girls with the confidence to explore, with the confidence to be able to fail, to be imperfect, and to dream beyond the ceilings, to show the world their own voice. So if you remember my daughter, the shy pianist, she didn't need to be louder, she just needed a stage. Her soft voice moved 400 people to tears, and because she found her form, she used it to be able to touch people. In the world of AI and technology, we need all of these voices. We need the soft ones, we need the loud ones, we need the leaders, we need the researchers, we need the entrepreneurs, the developers. We need women writing algorithms. We need women policymakers sitting at the leadership table. And most of all, we need women, shaping the future of AI. So the machine will reflect whoever builds it. So let's make sure it's going to be reflecting all of us. So I'll leave you here just with one of this challenge. Find your voice in this AI revolution, and use it for good, and make sure everyone is included. Thank you so much.